the choice was made for me. I had no choice. I had no voice then, but I have a voice now. And the people that have done what they've done, it should not have happened. I had no guardian with me. The only person that was with me when I signed the adoption papers was a social worker.
This is Sharon McGuigan, who was pregnant at 15 and her child was taken from her. This is her story.
My name is Sharon McGuigan. I am 51, and in 1986 I had a child taken from me and I never seen her again. I am the eldest of 6. I suppose being the eldest, I had to set an example, or felt I had to set an example. There would have been alcohol involved growing up. My parents were very strict, didn't get away with much. I was always very fearful because of the aggression growing up, and I would have never answered back, or I'd have been a very quiet child, very withdrawn, and just would have been a quiet child. I probably didn't know I was shielding him or protecting him, but probably subconsciously I would have been protecting him. Daddy would have been quite aggressive growing up, would have been very strict growing up. I was very afraid of my father, very afraid of my father.
Was he abusive?
He would have hit you, he would have hit you. I remember getting hit once with a buckle of a belt for breaking a light. So that fear was there growing up. Very quiet in school. I would have done my work, I wouldn't have been a troublemaker in school, I'd have went to school every day. But then when the younger ones came up, or when they were born, I was taken out of school to look after them. So therefore, I would have missed maybe parts of school. My mother worked and my father worked, so I would have been there looking after, getting up in the morning, doing the housework, getting them out to school, having lunch ready for Daddy when he come home at lunchtime, having the dinner ready. This would have been particular when Mummy went into hospital with the younger kids.
And what age were you?
I would have been about 13, 14. I felt that, like, even if we had family members that came over on holiday, it would have been, I would have been looking after the kids. I was always the one, kind of there to look after the kids. So I felt as if there was a lot of responsibility. I was always babysitting, cooking, cleaning, ironing, washing when my mother was in hospital. So I learned a lot in that aspect because I had to. I didn't really have a childhood. From what I can find, I didn't have a childhood. And then when I got pregnant at 15, I had no childhood. I had no teenage years. My teenage years went.
The father of Sharon's baby cannot be named for legal reasons. However, he was not a member of her family.
We would have had the chat and crack and, that kind of stuff. I don't know how it ended up from one thing to another, but it ended up that he arranged to meet me down the bottom of the road. He would have been quite friendly and, that kind of thing. And I suppose in my head it would have been, was the father figure that I didn't have. It was something that I was craving for. The attention, the well, not so much the affection at that time, but it was more the kindness and that kind of stuff, I think. he was 35 and I was 15. So he arranged to meet, thought nothing of it, went for a spin, thought nothing of it. And this happened now and again, you know, it was starting to happen more often, still thinking nothing of it.
At just 15 years old, Sharon had no idea she was being groomed.
I didn't know that then. And I suppose to a certain degree, there's times that I still think I should have known better. And I do think that that's the adult thinking now, but then I didn't know better then.
Despite the fact that Sharon was only a child and her abuser was more than twice her age, it was Sharon who carried all of the guilt and self-blame, even though she did nothing wrong.
When I look at the 15, 16-year-olds nowadays, they're quite forward, and I wasn't like that. I was as green as the grass. I knew nothing. So he would have met me at school, after school, would have went for a spin, that would have met me at lunchtime, done the same. And then I don't actually know when he took advantage. I don't know when that exactly happened. I do remember where it happened, but I don't know how long between it wasn't the first time or second time or third time or whatever. And it was up to a secluded place, and it was in his car. And I suppose, like, this is the adult again, coerced me. But as a child, it wasn't coercion. It was like, do this for me, it'll be fine, it'll be okay. And I suppose, in a sense, he had built up the trust that it felt okay, but it didn't feel okay because I didn't feel okay. So he came on to me, and it didn't feel okay. It didn't feel right. It felt wrong. I was 15. He was 35. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know this was right. But he knew. He knew what he was doing.
Sharon doesn't remember any conversation after the assault.
Not that I remember. Whether it was like I froze or I blocked it out or whatever, I don't remember. I vaguely remember going home. I don't really remember too much about that day. And did I possibly met him after? And possibly it was like I don't know. I thought at 15 I loved him. But I know now that's not, it's not that. And even saying that, sometimes I feel guilty that I'm even saying that.
Sharon had been totally taken advantage of. She was only a child with little protection around her, and she was terrified. She can't remember if she was assaulted again.
I don't remember a second time. There could have been a second time. I suppose like it was quite traumatic. Do you know, like even over the years and talking to different counsellors and things like that, like I have realised that he groomed me, and that how traumatic that it actually was, what happened. And I suppose like there is a certain amount of stuff that is going to be blocked out because it's too painful to deal with, and that it's easier just to put it to the back of your mind and move on, in a sense.
However, Sharon later discovered she was pregnant.
5 months pregnant before I found out. And like that, I didn't really know the signs of being pregnant. Like, I suppose the one sign is your periods. And I remember saying it to a friend, and we ended up going to the doctor to getting a test done, and found out then that I was pregnant. And whatever dates I gave him, he could tell me when I was due. So it ended up, it was 5 months.
And how did you feel when?
Devastated. It was like, I can't tell my parents. I cannot go home and tell my parents. I have to run away. I can't do this. So it kind of went on for a number of, I don't know how long it went on for, but a teacher at my school noticed I had become very quiet, very withdrawn, putting on weight, all that kind of stuff, and took me into the office and asked me, was there anything going on? What was wrong? I wouldn't tell her. Sat in her office for about 2 hours, wouldn't give in. She then got the priest that was in the school to come. He tried, are you on drugs? Is anything happening at home? Is there anything you need to tell me? No. And it was constant. And then the teacher, lovely teacher, I call her my guardian angel now. She is an amazing woman. Eventually, she asked me out straight, was I pregnant? And I said, yeah. And I said, I can't go home. I cannot go home. I had actually planned that I was running away. That day I wasn't going to go home, I was going to run away. So she said, we're going to come home with you and we're going to tell them. And I goes, no, it's fine. Do you know, it's fine. I can go home, it's fine. And she goes, no, we're going to leave you home and we'll talk to them. So it was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So they took me home. When I got home, my parents weren't there. They were up in the village. We had neighbours over from Scotland, or friends over from Scotland. So I says to them, look, they're not here. There's no point you waiting. They could be ages. You know, it's fine, I'll tell them. No, we're going to stay. So I went into my daily routine of cleaning out the fire and making sure, you know, everything else was okay. Next thing, the car drove up the driveway, and it was like, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm just literally gonna die. I was petrified. I don't think I had ever been so scared in my life as that day. And the minute Mummy and Daddy walked in, Daddy knew straight away when the priest and the teacher were sitting in the house, there's something not right here. So Daddy shooed the rest of them out of the room. So they left the room, and next thing the teacher says to me, we're here because Sharon's pregnant. And Mommy goes, oh well, thank God, I thought she was on drugs. And I'm going, what? Where's that coming from? To me, I didn't know what a mother and baby home was. I didn't know anything about that. And he said that you can let me know what you decide. The teacher that was there, because I had told her that I was afraid and all that there, and the teacher that was there left that day. They left, And in my hand she put her phone number and she says, you ring me morning, noon or night, whatever time you want, and I'll come and get you. And I goes, fair enough. So I went back into the room and petrified that they were gone, that I was going to get it. So I was told then that there was two options. First option, I stayed in the house. If anybody came to the house, I went to my room and I didn't leave it until they were gone. We always went to my granny's on Christmas Day. I wasn't to go, I was to stay in the house. Or I could go to Dunboyne and have the baby, but the baby will not be coming home. The baby will be adopted. And there's no question about that. That is what's going to happen. So it was like, oh, I didn't know what to do. But all I could think about was, I didn't want to be locked in my room. I didn't want to be locked in my room. So I opted for the mother and baby home. So maybe it was the next day or so, I'm not really sure, but I had to go and tell the priest at the school this was what was happening. So within 2 weeks, I was heading to the mother and baby home. The way that I would describe it is like a zoo. You look after the animals, you feed them, you keep them warm, you shelter them, but you don't give them any affection. You don't give them any counselling. You don't give them any support. So effectively you were being kept warm, you were being fed, you had a roof over your head, but with regards to anything else was none. You didn't get anything before, during or after.